no chewing gum. I mean, who wants to hear so I put that there, and then that went there, and I have this, I don't know. Oh, hi guys. Okay, so I'm playing this card game that my friend taught me, and I'm totally stuck. You see, I can't remember the rules. I mean, I know that I'm supposed to put red cards on the black cards, and I can put black cards on the red cards, and I remember that I can put a card onto another card if it's a different color and a lower number, but I don't know what to do with the aces. I'm like, does the ace go down here on this too, or does it go up here somewhere? I just feel like there's so many rules to remember in this game. But have you ever felt like that? Like, have you ever been somewhere or played a game or a sport where it just felt like there were so many rules and it was hard to remember? Or even that some of the rules were silly and didn't really make sense? Oh, like, did you know that in the game of golf, there is this rule that you can't talk to the other players about the course, or about the rules, or about course hazards that may influence the other player or make them change how they may play? Huh? I know, right? Or did you know that in soccer, there is literally a rule that says you can't kick another player in the shins?
Well, duh.
I mean, come on, guys. Are there really soccer players out there deliberately kicking others in the shins?
Yes.
Oh. Or even in professional basketball, there is this rule that says you can't shatter the glass of the basketball hoop. I mean, I can't believe they even had to make that a rule.
Bruh.
Or maybe I can. There are even card games where you can't say certain words or play a certain number on another card, or you always have to have a certain number of cards in your hands. And don't get me started on school rules. Can you think of any? I mean, I know we're in summer, but I can think of a few, like raise your hand, or stay in your seat, or no chewing gum, or wear closed-toed shoes. No hats inside the classroom, but outside the classroom is okay. Cross your fingers and hold them in the air if you need to use the restroom. Put one finger in the air if you have a question. Put two fingers in the air and one finger over your lips to remind everybody to be quiet. I mean, yikes, so many rules to remember. And I feel like most of these rules are ones that are pretty simple to remember to do because a lot of them sort of make sense, like no chewing gum. I mean, who wants to hear all day long? And of course, finding gum under your desk, ugh, gross. And some of these rules, they actually help us remember how to treat others. But also, some of the rules just feel so hard to remember and maybe even don't make a lot of sense. Like, why cross your fingers in the air to signal that you need to use the bathroom? I don't know. But did you know that there is a group of people that had a ton of rules to follow? It started with a set of 10 rules, and it turned into 613 rules. Can anyone guess who those people were? They were the Israelites. Okay, let's take it back a minute to help us remember all about the Israelites and about these crazy rules they had. All right, Urian, toss me that Bible. Got it. So way back in the Old Testament of the Bible, in the very first book of the Bible called Genesis, we see God take a group of people and set them apart to be his family. These people were called the Israelites, right here in the book of Genesis. Now, who here remembers a guy named Moses? Sweet. Well, Moses at one time was the leader of these people. We see that in the book of Exodus. And one day, Moses went up to the top of a huge mountain. And we read in other places in the Bible that while he was there, God gave Moses a group of rules for the Israelites to follow. Now, why do you think God gave rules for his people to follow? Well, even though we may not like rules, I don't like rules, they are often there for our benefit and the benefit of others. In other words, rules help to keep us from being crazy all the time. These rules that God gave to Moses were meant to help lead the Israelites to love God and to love others. Hey, that's our bottom line for today. Anyway, these rules are referred to as the 10 Commandments. All right, let's see if I can name all 10. Okay, number 1, don't put any other gods in place of me. 2, don't make statues of other gods to worship. 3, don't misuse the name of the Lord your God. 4, rest on the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 5, honor your father and mother. 6, do not murder. 7, keep your promises to your husband or wife. 8, do not steal. 9, do not lie. 10, do not be jealous or envious of what others have. Whew, I did it! Woo! Now, as you can see, these rules were made to help everyone treat each other well and love God well. But as time went on and the Israelites grew in number, some of the people who were more religious, let's say, got together and made another set of rules to add to this. That's when the rules went from 10 to 613. Can you believe that? I mean, this card game that I'm playing, it only has like 5 rules or something, and I can't even remember that. Some of these rules were interesting too. Like, for example, they had a rule to bless God after they ate. How many of you pray before you eat? Well, you would be breaking that rule then, and I would too. They had rules about what they could and couldn't eat, who they could and couldn't hang out with, how long their hair had to be, if they could shave their beards, and how to treat people. Now again, these rules were meant to help the Israelites to love God and love others well, but man, 613 rules? That's crazy. So then, years and years and years after Moses came Jesus. And we read about Jesus in the New Testament in our Bibles. And Jesus is different than any other teacher or rabbi of his day. He seems to break some of these rules, like all the time, and yet people love him and begin following him and listening to his teachings. For example, one of the rules that Jesus broke a lot was in regards to something called the Sabbath. Now, the Sabbath was a day that the Israelites set aside to rest. No working was allowed on the Sabbath, and there were all kinds of rules of what you could and couldn't do on the Sabbath. Rules that made simple things like lighting a candle for light at night to be wrong and against the rules because it could be considered work. Like, you probably wouldn't be able to tie your shoes or make a sandwich because those things would be considered work. But Jesus would do things like help others and allow his followers to pick food to eat while they were traveling and heal those who were blind and couldn't walk, all on the Sabbath. And that seemed like a big-time rule breaker. So, the church religious leaders of Jesus' day did not like that. So they tried to call him out on it, and they tried to trick Jesus, and they sent an expert on these laws to ask Jesus a question to try and trick him. This leader asked Jesus, "Teacher, which is the most important commandment in the law of Moses?" Oh man, I wonder what Jesus would say. Would it be to honor your father and mother? Would it be to not lie? Well, let's find out. Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these 2 commandments." Whoa, I see what Jesus did here. He summed up all of the rules, all 613 rules, and put them into this one great rule, the greatest commandment, as Jesus called it, to love God and love others. Jesus made it so clear. But at the same time, it isn't always easy. Sometimes we can be irritated by other people and not feel like showing them much love. But here is something that may help you out. Check out our Bible verse for this month. Here is what love is. It is not that we loved God, it is that He loved us and sent His Son to give His life to pay for our sins. You see, when I pause to remember that God loved me first, and that even when I was still a sinner, Jesus died on the cross for me, it helps me to remember that He did that for others too, and that He would want me to show Him love by loving others. So, what are some ways we can show love to God by loving others? What about picking up trash, even if it isn't yours? That could show love to God because you are taking care of the earth or your home or school or church that He allows you to be a part of. And it also shows love to others because it could bless your family, your friends, your teacher, or even your pastor. What's another way you can show love to God by loving others? How about letting someone go in line in front of you? Like at Del Taco. I mean, even if you may be super duper hungry, you can let someone take your spot and go first. And I bet you can come up with a ton of ways to do this and put it into practice this week. This will help us to show love for God by showing love to others. And don't forget to memorize this month's verse. I mean, I really think it could help us to remember to do this. Let's say it again. Here is what love is. It is not that we loved God, it is that He loved us and sent His Son to give His life to pay for our sins. 1 John 4:10. I remember the rules to my card game. The aces, they go up on top like this. That's right. Sweet. I really think I'm gonna win this one. Well, I'm gonna go now to keep playing, but I look forward to seeing you guys on campus on Sundays at 9 a.m. and 11, and on Wednesdays at 6:30. Yes.